the decisions you are facing, and then make an appointment on your calendar to pray about it. Let's seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, that all these things may be added unto us. Because you see, the Bible was written with the purpose to authenticate the divinity of Christ. John 20:31 says, "But these are written that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye may have life through his name." It gives hope to men in Romans 15:4. "For whatsoever things ye were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scripture, might have hope." Praise the Lord. The Bible was written with the purpose to relate human experience as a warning. 1 Corinthians 10:11 says, "Now all these things happen unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonishing, upon whom the ends of the world are formed." So praise God. Thank you, Lord God, for writing these things that we may understand your word and know that, Lord God, the Bible was written with a purpose. And that purpose was to let us know that Jesus Christ is Lord, and God sent him to this world that we might have life and have it more abundantly. Thank you, Lord God, for all things great and small. And remember, trust God. He loves you. Amen.
Where can you buy a brand new Nissan with a lifetime warranty? Kingston Pike. Hey, folks, Gerald Anderson with Ted Russell Nissan. You heard it right. Every new Ted Russell Nissan comes with a lifetime warranty, and that's a long, long time. Ted Russell Nissan on Kingston Pike.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome into the Thursday edition of Ask Your Neighbor. You know what it is. David West stars the stories of the Kaz Walker Show. David and the gang are here with us. You got guests and all kinds of fun. Morning, Dave.
Good morning. We got the historian of Knoxville on these stars today.
Boy, you already been historian while we was in the break there.
Well, he says historian, so he don't have to say old man.
Yeah, because he got pictures of WNH back in 37, and he picked us every...
No, I wasn't on that show.
But he picked us everybody.
You wasn't picking on that one, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, one thing I want to start with, you was a backup. Well, your band was a backup for all the stars that come to the Coliseum back in the heyday, you know.
Well, yeah,
tell just a few of them you played at.
65 to maybe 72. I can't remember exactly how long it run. But every 6 or 8 weeks, WIBK would sponsor. It was called their show.
Shindig, yes, the Shindig.
Well, actually, there's a man named Carlton Haney.
Yeah.
He booked all these people, and he booked Merle Haggard, George Jones, Kenny Rogers. He booked anybody. He booked the biggest stars around.
Yeah.
Well, they would come to Knoxville, and we would open the show. The band I was with called Country Kansas. We got that name because WIBK wanted a band to open that show. And they called Stoney Stonecracker and said, if you asked him to have a band, he said, well, we're not playing anywhere right now. Said, we really not doing anything. And he said, well, can you get a band together? So he called me and said, can we get a band together? Well, yeah, so we got to call around. Got my brother-in-law and Curtis Young, who went on to be on more million-selling records.
Oh, man.
For 5 years in a row in Nashville than anybody in the business. He was our lead singer. And we got a group together, you know, and we were going to be WIBK's band. So WIBK named us WIBK Country Kings. So we all
Country Kings.
Show first. So everybody that did played country music was on that show.
And you backed most of them up.
Some of them come in the band, but the ones we would back up, like Loretta Lynn had a couple of big hits, but she still hadn't had any money rolling in, so she didn't have a big bus and a big band. She'd come in by herself. Well, we'd back her up.
Yeah.
Tammy Wynette, same thing. We'd back her up.
That's cool.
Don Gibson, he had actually made it big, had a band, and was semi-retired. Well, he comes in, brings a guitar player, and the rest of our band back him up because of his situation.
Yeah.
So it was a fun gig.
I bet it was.
Mm-hmm.
You worked in TV too, didn't you?
Counting my playing in front of the camera when I was in high school, 60 years.
Gee whiz.
Ooh, 60 years.
60 years.
Started with what, Channel 26?
26. I had a picture of somewhere, I don't know where it is. I have a newspaper. They had a show. It was for, like, let's say the Milk Fund or a charity. I can't remember which it was. And it was the first week that live TV come to Knoxville. And a man named Charlie Lamb, who was a promoter and a writer of country for country magazines and stuff, he was on there as the MC. And we were on the first live music that was put on in Knoxville on television.
And what were you doing? Were you run camera? What were you doing?
I was
picking?
lead guitar then.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just in the 10th grade.
Oh.
That's before you went regular?
Yeah, that's when we were regular.
Regular.
Regular TV.
I never, we did a show where we done a lot of shows together.
Oh,
This
yeah.
particular one was playing Knoxville Coliseum,
Yeah.
and the Drifters come in.
Yeah.
The Drifters come in, and they just had one left. He had
One
sit in a
drifter.
Chair. One original. He
Yeah.
sat down in a chair, and he's probably weighed 95 pounds. Didn't he?
Yeah.
And they said, we can't keep him out here very long. Said, we're supposed to open up for him.
Yeah.
Said, is it okay if they go on before you do? And I
So
said,
we
yeah.
can get him home. Yeah.
And we walked off stage. Ray said, well, we can tell everybody the Drifters open up for us.
There's just so much in Sammy here. He's been, with us on shows.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff. I guess that I need to put it. I've been with them on shows because they're a lot better known than I am. So they, I was with them on shows.
We done a lot of recordings, Square Tunes.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Remember Square Tunes
Yeah.
record? It's got, tell me, he had the hole painted square black.
Around the 45.
Yeah.
45 hole.
That big old hole. It made
Because
it a
Square
tone.
And Lord, he was a big square dance caller, wasn't he? Or something?
Well, there's a number. There's about 6 of them altogether. But the Western Square Dance people had a top 10, just like country and gospel and pop and all that stuff. And we played for about 6 different callers, give their music for them and record them. And the funny thing about it, the top 10 come out, and this old boy come in and said, look here, we made the top 10. Well, I read the top 10, and this group that we played with was on 7 of them.
Yeah.
But we was called something else each time. We was a Square Tunes band, but we really just was a bunch of people who worked in the studio.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that I played it, I was with Bonnie and Buster, and you said, call me up. I guess you or somebody called me and said, we need a banjo picker. I said, what are we playing? You said, we're going to be doing square dance music. You're supposed to go in 2 or 3 hours early and get it worked out.
That banjo.
And he said, square dance. Well, I thought old Joe Clark and Cabbage. It wasn't nothing like that. It was a big band.
We played everything and made a square dance.
Made square dance out of it.
Yeah.
First day, I've never heard
Yeah.
it.
We done the Tennessee Waltz to a square dance tune. I'm serious. That's not a joke. That's true.
I mean, tell about that 16 something. I mean, beats a minute or second.
128 beats a minute, and boy, they had a light flashing up on the wall, and we had to play with it, and it was 128 beats a minute.
Well, see, I went in there. I got there late because I thought I just went in on time. I didn't want to do no practicing because I'd done that while I'm Buster. So
yeah,
I walked in, and he said, and most people, you know, I had tie seal on. Maybe I come from the show. And he said, here it is, first day, and Darrell Pewett's playing guitar, and they run through that thing. And I said, man,
I ain't
know the chord range.
heard that thing.
And they done had it down pat, see?
Yeah.
So Ray had to get off work, come in when he did. I said, Ray, this is this song. I don't even know where it begins or ends. And he said, well, we'll just write it out. He wrote it out.
Yeah.
And showed me how to read what he wrote. And then here's the bad thing about it.
Yeah.
They said, okay, stand by.
Banjo kicks it out.
Banjo kicks it out. You remember my tie fell off on one break?
Yeah. He had a clip on it.
Hold it.
Fell off on his head.
Ray Hart, hold it. We got to start it over. His tie went across his Oh, that was some days, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dave and I have talked, and we've decided that we were fortunate enough to live through the very, very best times of country music. Or at least here. Now, other places, who knows?
Yeah.
But here
The heyday.
yeah.
We saw a good heyday.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And the band you had.
By the way, I don't know if David told y'all, this is Ray Rose. we talk like everybody knows him like we do, but Ray Rose played for, as you heard, all kinds of people. Played for Ciderville. I can't remember how many times she's out at Ciderville with us.
Played a while down there.
Yeah.
And
He still plays Ciderville once in a while, don't you?
yeah, for a good while.
What do you like better playing, guitar, bass? I've only known you playing bass most of the time.
I played lead guitar, and I got married. But when I got married, I thought, I'm busy. Then a year later, my daughter come on. I need to settle down and work.
Yeah.
So I quit playing, I guess, when I was 22. And I didn't play for about 3 years, but I played lead guitar up until then.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Moore called me and said, I'm playing with this band. And it turned out it was like pop music. You know, Misty started that, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. And he says, we need the bass player. Well, I'd picked up the bass and thumped on it, but that's about it. Luke Brandon showed me about everything I know on a bass. And I said, I don't have a bass. And he said, we'll buy one. I reckon he's talking about the band or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, we worked it out, and I wound up paying him back for it, little out of each job, and got me a bass. And I don't want to sound funny to say fall in love with something like that, but putting down the foundation for music become, to me, more important than standing up front playing leads. So I really like the bass bass.
Good.
Anybody that picked with Luke just couldn't hardly make a mistake.
No, he wouldn't let
He
you.
pulled
No,
everybody up.
he definitely
He told
did.
you could play, didn't he?
Yeah.
He said,
I hate to do all talking, but I got another Luke story. Luke come up to me. I worked at a TV station, worked Archie's show. I was on camera. And Luke was playing guitar with Archie, and he come up to me and said, hey, Ray, said, you play bass, don't you? And I said, and I never had. And I said, no. And he said, I've seen you. And I said, no, you seen me pick up L.E.'s bass and look, pump it and look at it. And he says, oh, said, you playing up guitar, you can play bass. And I said, well, I don't have a bass anyway. Well, L.E.'s supposed to play his job, and he's got something else to do. He said you could use his bass. So Luke Brandon, Hal Duncan, and Don Gibson, steel player, was Eagle Eye, Sammy Lee Hendricks, and they is still in town before they went to Nashville. But anyway, the four of us played a wedding reception in Gatlinburg. And here I'd never played a bass before in my life, except just pick it up and listen to how it worked. Hal Duncan sat there all night calling out chords to me. And the top 4 strings on the guitar are tuned just like 4 strings on the bass. So I knew where the notes were.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd call out those chords to me all night long. And I didn't know them songs. Got home and my fingers were just
ate up. Well, it's fretless bass too. Stand up, they're fretless. Yeah, so
I learned to play bass in one night.
True trial by fire.
And then Luke used you a long time, didn't he?
Oh yeah, me and Luke played together.
Oh, well, he was one more man, wasn't he?
But now David here, he's traveled to little old places that me and Sammy's not even heard the name of. Is there a holler in Kentucky, Virginia, or Tennessee you've not played in?
I don't know. We've done a lot. Luke told me right before he died, he said, tell you something, said, but he said, I believe me and you done more shows together than anybody I've worked with.
Yeah.
But Luke, he'd call me up and I'd say, is this Walter Martin? He'd say, hey, Walt, what are you doing?
He'd say, what are you doing, honey?
Yeah.
And he called people honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he loved everybody. Luke loves you.
Luke loves you.
Luke loves you.
But he was so good, and we'd get out, go places with him, and I think he was with us was playing up there on Gay Street at that big thing at the place.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
And I said, I want to stop a minute and have everybody describe Luke.
Yeah.
Jerry Moore walked out. I said, we're going to start with Jerry. Jerry come out and said, well, there's a lot of guitar pickers in this country, but they ain't but one Luke. I thought that was so good.
That pretty much says it.
I'll tell you another guy described him very, very good. It was Ken Bonham. Ken don't have a lot to say about nothing.
Oh, Ken's is quiet, yeah.
But when he speaks, it hits.
And
he said, well, he's sitting in the store, and they was talking about Luke. He said, well, David, here's the way it is. Me and you can walk into a jam session, and they all down in the mud picking. None of them can't pick nothing, and me and you get down there with them.
Waller right
But he said, when Luke comes in, he pulled everybody up out of it.
That's exactly
That was heavy, wasn't it?
Yep.
He played so many chords between chords.
Yeah, he made up chords.
It would lead you to this next chord you needed.
Yeah.
He stepped you up to it or stepped you down through it. Yeah.
I never saw nothing like it. Did you?
No. You would think that being the level musician I am, level musician he is, that it'd be hard to keep up. Well, the reverse is true. He will hold you. He'll pick you up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that boy.
He'd step up and you knew where he was going just by following where he was.
He'd push you up to it. We was playing up there somewhere, one of them big shows, and he said he's going to play Had to Be You or something I never had picked before.
Song, yeah.
He got up there and done it, sung it, and played a good break. And he said, we're going to give the band a break right now. And of course, he just walked me into everything. I said, Luke, I didn't know that. He said, I could tell you knew the chord pattern.
You knew the chord.
Really? I saw him on TV. This guy's going to do, he's going to do Waltz Across Texas.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to get Luke Brandon to kick it off. And Luke was just standing there. And he said, I don't have a guitar. They said, get him one there. We're going to get Luke to walk up here to the mic. And it was 2 frets out.
Oh, yeah.
He walked up as he walked. I'm glad to be here today. Doon, 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 doon. Da-da-do-do-do.
Seen him do it.
Walking tune.
Yeah.
Kicked it off like that.
Say something. You took quiet.
No, I'm actually fixing to leave. I just want to sit in here with my heroes.
Yeah, Now, I told him. He said I might have to leave early.
Yeah.
I said I'm going to tell everybody how important you are that you have to leave early.
I'm so important. I have to still work a job daily and 24 hours a day.
Well, you didn't have to say that.
Hey, our mutual friend Martha Dooley
Yeah.
had lunch last week. All she did the whole time, it was awful because I sat there and had to listen to Ray Rose stories and how great you are.
And you're not going to tell one of them.
But I am going to leave. But tell the story again because I refreshed her memory. I said, one of my favorite cast stories is when Bob was working there. She could not remember whether he was he a cameraman? Was he a producer?
He was actually producer and director.
Now this is Bob Dooley was married to Martha Dooley, who was the PIO, or the Public Information Officer, with us at the sheriff's office for years.
Well, old Bob was producer and director on Kaz Walker's 30-minute show.
Okay.
Well, Kaz Walker would always hang around after the show, or some days he'd come in just to cut commercial. But he'd stand around after the show and talk, and we'd tell tales, and he'd tell tales. And Dooley comes just easing up into the group and stand there, and Kaz was right in the middle of something. He stopped and said, "Say, he got right up and he looked at Dooley and said, 'What do you do around here?'" And he was the producer for his show.
That's great. That's typical Kaz, though.
Yeah, just exactly.
I told you the story of a guy called. He actually came by the Clinton office here where Ann Anderson works for us at Madison Insurance Group down here. So we're down here, and this guy walks in. He says, "Hey, I listen to your radio show. Y'all's on the radio every week." And David and the stories. He said, "I've got a Kaz Walker story." And so I said, "Well, what's your story?" I said, "Maybe you can come on and do it." And he said, No, I won't get on the radio. But he proceeded to tell this story about he worked in a store next to Kaz Walker. This guy was a worker, an employee at the store beside of Kaz Walker. And one day
I could about tell you where that store was, because there was a place over on Main Street in the old days that there was a Kaz Walker and a White store adjoining. I mean, the buildings run together. So
well,
I just about bet you that's where it was.
There was a drink machine right between them or close to it, right at Kaz's store. But this boy was on break, and he went over and was getting him a drink out of the drink machine. And said, Kaz walked up to him and said, what do you do? And so he said, "Well, I stock shelves." And he says, how much do you make? What's your pay, or something like that? And so he proceeded to tell him. So a few moments went by. Kaz went back in his store, and he's standing there getting his drink out. And Kaz comes out with some cash and hands it to him and says, we don't need you anymore. He didn't even work there. But and if that guy's listening, I probably butchered your story, but you won't come on there, you chicken, and tell the story. But I'm going to leave you. I'll see you here pretty soon. I love you, Ray.
I love you too, pal.
David. And happy birthday. This week's been a big birthday week. Ron Meredith had a birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David and Ron. Happy birthday to you. There you go. And I'm gone. I love that.
And with that,
hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
I need you as a guest over at Y Wings.
We'll be there.
What's the date on that?
It's the 11th, isn't it?
Yep.
11th.
10th.
Monday?
It'll be Monday the
12th.
No, on May.
Oh, in May.
On May. Yeah, right there it is.
It's
the 11th.
It's Monday is the 12th.
Is that the 12th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, but the 12th. Hey, real quick before I go, we're going to do and I'm going to have to let Ron know because it's his church, but we met with First Baptist Church of Clinton. So put this on your calendar, folks, if you can. November the 17th, it's going to be on a Monday. I'll have, Bill Williams is in rehab right now. He had fell and hurt himself, but he's doing pretty well. But I'm going to have a local TV personality, and then we'll have some musical guests. Hopefully it'll be David West and maybe some of his crew. But it'll be at the First Baptist Church at noon.
Family Life Center, or is it going to be in the sanctuary?
Well, that's what they're going to decide.
Okay.
But we're going to open it up to, it's free. We're going to do, have some Mayberry stuff and some comedy, and we're going to have some music, but we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, Monday, November the 17th. And Madison Insurance Group is sponsoring it, so it'll be totally free. Mm-hmm. But we'll have some great entertainment, a good day, and we'll celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving there. But we'd love some church groups, senior groups, anybody listening. If you go to a church or you're a member of a senior group, start telling them about it, spread the word. We'll get some promotional stuff out, and I'll get Ron. We'll do some promotions with it. Okay?
We'll do it, buddy.
All right, I appreciate you guys. This is my favorite part of Thursday,
Man, it's
Ray.
good to see you.
Let's make this a regular thing.
Sounds good.
All right, see you.
See you.
Well,
See you, Sammy.
We can make it rain everyday thing, but because Ray's got so many stories and so much of the history he's got here on the counters and things of where all they've been and all, and a lot of shows. You know, we was talking about doing shows together. You remember we did a show in somewhere up that way. We was playing a festival, I believe, or something, but we stopped in Luttrell.
Oh, Luttrell, yeah, we stopped in Luttrell. We was on our way to on up past there somewhere and stopped in. Go ahead.
Yeah, you tell them, man.
Well, I'll tell it. Dave gets bashful about this part. Humble. We go up there, and I don't remember who's driving. I'm in the back, but Dave's sitting in the passenger seat in front. we were looking for Chet Atkins Memorial. We thought we'd go over by Luttrell, see that memorial. And so we pulled up to the little filling station grocery store there, and a fella come out of the store, and Dave rolled his window down and said, "Say," said, "we're looking for the Chet Atkins Memorial." Said, "Could you give us directions?" And no boy says, "Well, I don't know where that is, but you're David West, ain't you?" Well, the thing about it is, here, Chet Atkins, one of the most famous people in the world. That guy didn't know anything about it, but he sure knew David West. Yeah. Now you finish the story.
But Ray said, "Well, you're pretty hot up here." But yeah, that salesman
thing.
Yeah, that salesman was with us. Don Duncan was with us.
Yeah, yeah.
And he went to he's playing golf in Cincinnati. And he said he was sitting there with some other musicians and dealers and stuff, and said he's straight across the street from this guy. I mean, the table across from this guy, and that guy kept looking at him, and he said, "You know David West?" And he said, "Well, I reckon everybody does, don't you?" He said, I heard that Saturday down in Knoxville.
Yeah, I've wondered what the ratings were on that television show.
It had to be,
you know, they had
three-fourths people in Knoxville had to just get up, turn the TV on, and even if they didn't sit there and stare at
it was on
while they were getting breakfast and eating breakfast. It's hard telling. There would have been a day that I could either remember hearing it or look it up, but you know, like
well, they lived by it.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
That big clock, you know.
Yeah.
You
still got that in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be our clock. It wasn't running right, and it'd be 5 minutes. The clock's 5 minutes slow, Mr. Walker jumping shit up there a little bit.
People started their day with it, didn't they? It was just part of the daily routine.
Walker again. Dave will tell you about on that morning show. They didn't have a script to go by or anything like that. They'd stand over there and somebody, while this one's up there singing, somebody look over at Curly Dan or somebody and say, "You do one next." Yeah, okay. Well, who's going to play with him? And the red director, you know, I'll play with him. Of course, Claude Boone played bass most of the time. David go up there with him cages. Whoever wanted to. They didn't have a script at all. And Fred Smith told me this. He said, I got to where I'd done as little as I could. Said I'd just stand around. People volunteered to go on or asked to go on. I'd just sort of scoot over in the corner and keep my mouth shut. And any of you know Fred, you know how he talks, you know. He says, I'd just stay over there in the corner and wouldn't say anything, and said they passed me by. Said I stand over there one day and said, Mr. Walker'd come in later if he just come in after it started, and said, he come walking in and said he took 3 or 4 steps past me, and he stopped and he turned around and he looked. So he walked back over and he said, "Say, do you still work for me?" He couldn't remember seeing old Fred on. He said, "You still work for me."
Hey, I remember that Fred said, "Well, I think so."
Yeah.
And then Honey Wise would quit every so often.
You
could tell when he's going to quit because you go over and get his chili dipper. He called that little uke. He let
you
the head over.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was going to quit, so he got his chili dipper. Said, he called it his chili dipper. Said, "I bet you're going to quit." And he'd be gone maybe 2 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Back.
And he'd come back in and say, "Oh, honey's back." He'd walk in and had it under his arm, that little chili, and say, hey, Mr. Walker, am I fired? And he said, "Well, I never fired you, did I?" "No."
Yeah.
"But I've been out some." He said, "No, get back up there and get top of that and singing and stuff, and put him right back."
I don't know how well these will show up or if you can do this, but I want to give some people that wasn't around back then some idea about the midday merry-go-round in Knoxville.
Yeah.
Remember, it was on like at noon, Monday through Saturday.
WNOX.
Yeah, WNOX, K Street. They filled that auditorium up. Where would I have put that?
Let's see.
They filled that auditorium up at noon during working hours. They filled that thing up every day.
Look at that.
People would line up the street in both directions, 2 lines.
Trying to get in.
And they always turn people away.
How many did it seat, Ray? Any idea?
That's all of it right there. What would you guess? A couple hundred people?
I don't know, 300 or 400 anyway.
Oh, really?
That's what it looks like. I don't know.
It's pretty big, ain't it?
Yeah. But anybody that was anybody in music come through here. The Carter family come through here. Chet Atkins come through here. Carl Smith, Kitty Wells, Don Gibson. Anybody that ever went on to be big in Nashville come through here.
Yeah, there's 200 right there in this side section because you
Yeah.
got 10 in a row and you got 20 rows.
That
So,
other side is almost as big. I think it's a little short.
yeah, so that's probably 300 people easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
But they could do that every day.
And some of it'd be. You know, they'd be lying down the
1937.
street. Some of them never did get in, did they?
No.
You didn't
no.
get there early to get in.
Then, let's see if I can find this. Carl Smith, who had
What was he?
this #1 record after #1, is sitting
Uh-huh.
back here at the table, I'll tell you. And then up on the stage over to the right, our right, is Arch Campbell. And then next to him is Jethro Burns. I can't remember if it's his brother or his cousin. But
That's
it
Carl
takes-
Smith at the
it's-
table.
Yeah, Carl
me
Smith
get
at the
to see it.
table. And that's Archie standing on the stage to the
He played
right, to
grandpappy
our
back
right.
then, didn't he?
Yeah, but he had his thing on.
He was just regular.
Now, they had a show on WROL,
Yep.
and I can't for the life of me remember if they come on exactly when the merry-go-round did. But I think maybe one of them was on at 12 o'clock, one of them was on 1 o'clock. I'm not sure of that.
You can tell that's Archie.
Now, if you turn that right around and turn it up the other way, that's Archie right in the middle there singing a song. Then, if you show this picture, it's Archie as grandpappy. And what Archie would do, he would come out and do a real good music, nice songs, nice country songs, like he was dressed here.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd go backstage and put his
Grandpappy stuff on.
and all the people on the show and everybody around there, he just was Pap. They never call him. Every now and then somebody call him Arch, but the biggest part of the time he was Pap.
That's
So
right.
he did.
Yeah.
He could play that Wildwood Flare on that flat top.
Yeah,
About like Maybell, couldn't he?
Yeah, yep. But anyway, there's people from just about anybody that was big in Nashville. They come through. Martha Carson,
Yeah, there's a lot of them. mean,
Bill
it's people-
Carlisle.
It's people
Jumping
I
Bill.
didn't even know of was on there till.
Yeah.
I heard Don Williams. He was on there.
Yeah, Homer Jethro, Jack Green.
Jack Green.
Yeah,
Jack Green was on
From
there.
a Jack to a King.
Logan Brothers.
Yeah.
They come to the
I
big
mentioned
homecoming.
Kitty Wells.
Charlie.
But there's just on and on.
They say that the midday merry-go-round and the country music here in
Barn Dance.
Knoxville very easily could have been Nashville. Very easily.
I have heard people say years ago, and I don't know what the reasoning was because I was young when I heard all this stuff.
Mhm.
They said that they just couldn't get
They couldn't get the city
financial
backing.
Well, they couldn't get the city and financial backing behind it.
The community just didn't
Yeah.
at the time didn't seem to
Well,
want
see,
to do it.
WSM in Nashville, the Grand Ole Opry, they fed off of this show
They got
and Louisiana Hayride.
they would pull people from it.
And
Renfro.
what was that barn dance in Chicago?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Something barn dance. But anyway, Homer and Jethro left here and went up to that barn dance.
Yeah.
And they become very famous. And they were here. Roy Acuff
Yeah.
was here.
Or the Stars were here, wasn't it?
Gosh, I feel like I'm talking
How long
too
was
much.
Don Gibson?
No, that's what you're here for.
Don Gibson come in here, I will say 53. Could have been 52. I think 53 maybe. And he stayed here through, maybe not solid. I don't remember if he left command, but up going up into 57 and 8 because 58 I think is when I Can't Stop Loving You. And,
Oh wow.
and
Lonesome
Oh Lonesome Me. And that's a funny story. You in the record business, you got this song, you say, boy, that's super. So you put it on what they call the A side.
Yep.
And on the B side, you put a throwaway song on there. So,
yeah,
you know, you make your money off of that. Then you take a good song, put on your next one.
Yeah.
They put Old Lonesome Me and I Can't Stop Loving You on the same. And they both went.
They both took off.
Yeah.
That's
one
crazy.
of them. I think I Can't Stop Loving You. One of them was #1 song in
They had
wow.
What was that one you had? We used to do it, and it was, I think you said, the B-side. It's been a blue day.
Yeah, blue day.
I'll tell you somebody that loved Don Gibson and done his stuff, and we've not mentioned him, and we need to. A boy named L.E. White. He wrote some songs, and he went to Nashville and worked down there for a while, and he wound up running Conway Twitty's publishing company for a number of years. And L.E. just absolutely loved Don Gibson's stuff. And every time me and him get on the stage together, he says, let's do some Don. I say, okay, let's do some Don. Well, back in the early days, he had this beat that was a signature.
Oh,
beat.
yeah.
Boom, ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, and then his guitar rhythm, of course.
Yeah.
Well, O.L.E. could play that rhythm, and he'd get me do that boom, ba-dum, on the bass. And L.E. just loved it. I mean, he you could just tell he was, you know.
That was his hero, wasn't it?
Oh, Chet Atkins told this story, and it's interesting for Chet fans especially. Chet went to work at WYSH on the merry-go-round with the Carter family, and he was a fiddle player. They hardly play fiddle. Well, they were going somewhere. A lot of times everybody piled in one car, and then if there's too many, they piled in 2 cars. But Chet and somebody was sitting in the back seat, and one of them took a guitar out of the case they threw in the trunk and had the guitar in there and was sort of fiddling along with it. And Chet had the guitar, and he played a song, and then he got through playing that, and he played another song, and Lowell said, hey, he said, how many of them songs can you play? And he said, that's it. I said, 2. And like I say, Chet told this story on a TV show I saw. And Lowell told him, said, if you'll learn about 3 more of them, I'll put you on as a guitar player. But what he done instead, that's not hiring him to play all the guitar stuff. What he done, he would feature him 1 song a day, and he'd come out and play 1 song.
Yeah.
Well, as he played his 2 songs, he got 5, and he got 5, and of course he
had more days.
So he turns into one of the greatest guitar players there ever was.
It's amazing.
And that's how he got his first guitar job.
Just with 2 songs.
He told that one.
That's amazing.
But
this guitar picked our Wiggins. I can't think of his name right off, but he worked there, and I asked him one day. I said, I forget his name. I can see his face, but he said, I said, what did Chet think about Luke? He said every day of Luke's life, he come in with a new big band song he could play.
Yeah.
So he sit and worked it up every night, and said Chet would just sit and look at him all the time. And he said that one of them songs that he learned to play was Maggie.
Yeah.
Luke told me, he said, Laurel, come out there and sit down. Chet, you went to learn something besides Smaggy. He said, I don't do that every day.
Smaggy.
Smaggy.
Yeah. Well, he, like I say, he got his start playing fiddle on WYSH with them.
Yeah.
And Archie Campbell used to tell about being in town.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I think he said just out of the Army, I think he said. And he said that he actually, and I think Chet Atkins was in on this too, that they actually slept at the Union bus terminal uptown and then go in and play.
Oh, wow.
And they're trying to get a job. They're trying to get yourself on the merry-go-round.
Ray, do you know how, did Lowell Blanchard actually start the midday merry-go-round? Was it his idea, or was it NOX's idea and they brought him in to do it, or do you know?
I have heard about them bringing him in, and I think that's what it is for, but I couldn't swear to it. Somebody else may tell you different.
Sure.
But I think he was brought in to produce that show.
For WNOX.
Yeah. That's my impression.
I wonder who
I've heard.
I wonder who the folks were at WNOX that come up with that idea, because I've never heard anything about that. You hear about Lowell Blanchard. I've known about him all my life, but there's probably somebody behind the scenes that come up with that idea.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was an AM station.
Oh, yeah.
It was
990.
Yeah. But you know this, radio people know this. Some people just not in the business don't know this. Of a night at twilight, so to speak, smaller radio stations would have to go off, and they had clear channel like WSM.
Yeah.
And well, WNOX was not required to go off it.
But they had to go directional.
They had to go directional.
Yeah.
And you could actually pick them up in South Carolina.
Yeah, it would shoot straight down through there.
Yeah, right straight down.
Yeah.
But you couldn't.
Still does, I think.
You couldn't pick them up in Western Oxford, but you could pick them up in South Carolina.
Yep.
So that's the thing about the old stuff that people wouldn't think about Preacher Mall's story. And this was told to be the truth. If it's a lie, somebody lied to me.
That was a really listened to show at them.
Yeah.
And they had that farm report.
Yep.
At 12 noon.
Yeah.
And something McMahon, some rap or something McMahon. He was a
Charles.
guy that was, what was his name?
Charles
McMahon. Charles McMahon.
He went to work for Channel 6 later.
I sit there as a little boy and watch that dial, you know.
Yeah.
And don't be radio.
He went to work for Channel 6 while I was
did he?
there later on, yeah.
Well, he's a good announcer, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. He used to have announcers in the old days, and you do this stuff, but
yeah.
They had voices,
they
had personalities. They didn't just read scripts.
They were personalities.
Had to. You couldn't see it. You had to
imagine it.
And so there's a lot of those. And of course, Lowell was like that. He talked to you like kinfolk.
Yeah.
You know, and everything.
Yep.
And
he was telling Preacher Mole's story.
Oh, now this was told me to be the truth. It sounds far-fetched, and it may be a makeup, but it's told me to be the truth. Claude Thompson told me. Well, WIVK, when it first come to town, and I've never seen this in any of their history stuff I've read, but they were WIVK.
Okay.
And they were right across the street from Rega's Restaurant on the corner of Magnolia and Gay Street.
Yep.
Not down at the new Rega's later on, but the
Printed.
old one. And there was either a hardware store or a paint store on the corner. I can't remember what it was, and another little store. Well, right between those stores, there was a door. And you open that door, and there's nothing there but steps, enclosed steps.
Yeah.
And you go up those steps, and WIBK had a little auditorium, not near as big as WNOX. And, of course, they had your booth here looking out into the auditorium. But they had to sign off at there.
Yeah.
Well, I was on a little old radio show up there, and I played. And right after we went off, Preacher Mull come on, and he was on until sign-off, which I don't know if it was an hour or what, but anyway, Preacher Mull was he was legally blind. He could see forms and see to get around stuff, but he couldn't, you know.
Yeah.
So Claude told us. He said to him and Jim Hess, Big Jim.
Big Jim Hess, WBIR.
Claude was just out of high school. Claude maybe 2 years older than me, and I was still in high school, and he was just out. And we used to make each other laugh while I was on the air and break each other. But anyway, Claude said to him and Jim was closing the place down. The preacher had left 15 minutes earlier because his show had been over. So they were going down those steps, and preacher sitting on the bottom step there. And they said, "What's the matter, Mr. Mull?" Said, "Did you get stood up?" Well, his wife would come and drive him. Said, "You get stood up?" "I don't know where Miss Mull is." Said, "She's supposed to be here." And then back then, didn't have cell phones.
Sure.
You run it back down. So they said, "Well, where are you going? We'll take you." And he said, "Well, he's going home," but said, "That's way out of the way." And, "Oh, we don't care." Well, old Jim, getting a good job out of school and all this stuff, and he bought him a Pontiac convertible. So him and Claude and Preacher Mull, got a big old wide bench seat in the front. Well, they put Preacher Mull in the middle, and Claude got in the co-pilot seat. Jim was driving. Well, you come off Gay Street, turn down Depot, and then you turn right again, and the railroad tracks are there.
Yeah.
Well, they turned and was going to go down Central, and just as they started to cross the railroad track, started dinging, the bars come down, you could hear this train. Well, that train, when you're right there at the track, it's loud, and it just kept getting louder. Well, old Jim took the accelerator and jerked his car about 3 times and turned the key off. He said, "Run, Claude, there's a train coming." And this was Claude told me this to be the truth. He said, "Run, Claude, there's a train coming." Well, Preacher Mo couldn't see all of the bars down and them being behind him and all this stuff. All he could hear was that big old train coming, and they both got out and slammed. Now, that's the kind of silly stuff that went on. There was, if you get creative people, you get creative things.
So they pull tricks, bad tricks on each other, you know what?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
Mr. Walker said that bass player you're talking about, Junior Husky.
Oh, Junior, yeah.
He said that the guy was so mean, said he went and took a bunch of straight pins and put them all in my seat, and I sat down like tore up everything. He said,
To his boss.
he found out who it was. Said, I just fired him right there. And I said, "You're
Yeah.
fired." And said, I said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, we had I went back that night because couldn't find the other bass player."
Oh, Lordy.
Oh, Junior was something else. He went nice way to be.
Oh, he made big time down there in recording
Yeah.
studios.
Who did he start out with?
You've heard nice with Carl Smith.
Carl Smith.
Well, down there. You've heard 18.
Yeah.
He's 18 in Nashville back
Wow.
in the 50s.
So he played for just about anybody that
Died
needed
too young. Yeah. Last session he done was with Tammy Wynette, and one of his boys told me they got through at that session. Junior kept everything in a little book, and he'd write down what time it started, where they finished everything. And they had got through that session at 5 minutes after 1 in the morning. And Junior drove home and pulled up in the parking lot and died in the car.
Oh, Lord.
So he was young. I can't remember. He's somewhere around 50. Might have been 47. Might have been 52. But he's somewhere around there. But, oh, gosh, I'm talking too much. But I get to reminisce. Don Gibson and Junior Husky were just
Peas in a pod.
Together. Yeah. So Junior died young, and Don always called him Bugs, but Junior's wife, Ruth, said that Don didn't come to the funeral, he didn't call, sent flowers, and they didn't hear from him at all. And she said she was just totally shocked. And about 6 months after Junior died, the phone rang, she picked it up, and it was Don.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Ruth, if I'll come over there, will you not cry?" And she said, "No, Don," said, "I won't cry if you come on over." So Don come over, and when she heard the door, she went out there. She opened the door and said, "Come on in, Don." And he started crying like a baby. Don did. And he brought back a guitar that Junior loaned him. It's a Super 400 Gibson. People don't know that nowadays those things cost
Thousands.
Yeah, but anyway, he brought that. He said, "This is Junior's guitar. He's been letting me use it." And they sat there and talked a while, and he got ready to go. And she told him, says, "I think Junior wants you to have that guitar." And so she gave that Super 400 guitar.
Oh, wow.
Now, Don had one of his own before that. It wasn't the only one he had.
Wow.
But I don't know. There's a million stories. I guess that's the reason I talk too much. I've heard.
Was he bought LE's 500 L5.
L5. Well, was it a 5 or a 7? It's 7.
I bought the 7.
Yeah. Oh, you got 7.
I got 7, and he let Don get the 5. Of course, that's real high, you know, that high was.
Oh, when they get a little age on them, yeah.
Oh, man, it's high. He sold it to him for $1,000, he said, back in those days. And so, so he'd call LE, he said, "LE, I'm going to be on opera tonight. Guess what? I'm playing your guitar." And then when LE got real sick, I bought these 7.
Yeah.
I think it wound up over at Lynn's. I think he had.
I got to tell you about that. I like that guitar. It had a little bit of crack down right where one of that poles was. And Dave had it out there. What did you have it? $2,000 or something like that. But it was, it was a good deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about buying it. And I thought, I got a house full of guitars, and I play bass. So in thinking about it, but next time I was out there, it sold it.
Gone.
But then I went to another music store in town, and Dave had $2,000. I went to a music store in town. They had $4,000.
Went that far quick, didn't you?
Just, I mean, within a week.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. It sounded like, you know, I had a grammar guitar, and
Yeah.
I just took it in on trade and didn't have hardly anything in it. I just wanted to move it.
Mm-hmm.
$500-600, and I probably had a couple in it. And I thought, I'm going to sell that cheap because somebody'd like to have it. They're beautiful guitars. And
Oh, they were, yeah.
And couldn't sell it. And I told them, I said, well, you're too cheap. That's such a $high guitar. So
The thing's
I
nothing
marked
wrong
it
with it.
up right quick to
People
1,000.
think it's something wrong with
I marked it up to 1,000 so the next week.
it. Yeah. Well, that's a Kaz Walker trick.
Yeah.
In some of those things he told us when we stand around out there, he says, now, people are funny. He said, I can put out here Dan Camp's pork and beans, 8 cents a can. Now, this was back when stuff didn't cost nothing. 8 cents a can. And he said they'll sell a few, but said I can set them out in the aisle in a little table, and I can put Dan Camp's pork and beans 2 for $1, and said I can't keep them on that table for people buying them.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
He figured that stuff out early.
That's where this boy gets his business
Well,
from.
some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, I drove for him, you know, and every time we'd start to leave, I'd sit there at night and think I go to bed. What am I going to find out about today? And he'd go through the whole process with me. One day, I've told this on the radio so many times, but one day I was sitting there looking at him, and you know, that finger it went down.
Oh, yeah, he's
When he
got a
said two
finger
for a quarter,
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
he called it his 2 for $1
Yeah.
finger. Hit them can.
Yeah.
He's telling me about he got the fight and the guy bit it off and put it back on.
Yeah.
Oh, he was something. Well, wasn't he?
This is.
He put a lot of people on, didn't he, before they went. They come to him. He kind of got apprenticeship and then went over to WYSH.
I'm gonna, if we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
Well, I'm gonna show you a couple of things here with you being on this little TV thing here with the camera and how big. If you're gonna tell them how big that camera is, what would you say? 2 inches?
Yeah,
2
maybe.
inches?
Maybe 2 inches.
by an inch and a half.
Maybe 2 inches by an inch and a half.
Okay. So just for comparison, and think about carrying a good camera,
Yeah.
a motion camera,
Yeah.
video camera.
Yeah.
I'm not in your pocket. First color cameras come to Knoxville.
About the size of a small car.
Volkswagen
Yeah.
Beetle weighed almost as much. That's me running that thing.
And today you can carry that in your pocket.
Yeah, here.
Here was
Oh,
that?
and the quality of that,
Mhm.
everybody thought it was great because it was color, but the quality was terrible.
And that's something.
Oh, that was in
50s,
60s,
60s,
early 60s.
or 60s.
Wow. That's amazing. All tube ran, right?
Huh?
All tubes.
Oh, yeah, every bit.
I like that where that woman was carrying that on her back. You still
Oh, I'll show them that too. Now, this is me, and I don't mean for it to be me. I just want to show you the equipment and what goes on there. That's me running one of the first black and white cameras to come to Knoxville. That would have been 1955.
Try and get where they can see that camera. There you go.
Well, you started young, didn't you?
Oh, and I've got to tell you how primitive this TV business was. When they would show film, usually what they got into doing, they had a thing called a multiplexer and it had a number of mirrors in it,
Uh-huh.
about like that. And they would project this image on that mirror. And you could put 3 cameras into it, or 3 projectors into it, and the camera over here.
Yeah.
And if a mirror comes up this way, this camera over here,
Would be.
and if a mirror flops up here, this camera over here,
Okay.
and so on. And one could go straight through. So that's the way they got to where they done that. But up here, this first thing, they didn't have that. They didn't have a little camera for the film change.
Yeah.
They would take one of these studio cameras, go over to the wall, and it took a cinder block out, and we shot that studio camera through that hole where that cinder block was to put the film on. So that's how primitive. That's how primitive TV was
back then.
You wanted him to see that
And
first.
I want him to see the first
portable camera.
Oh yeah.
It's not the first.
The bottom of it.
It's the first
weighed
one.
35 pounds. They had to carry the whole thing.
It's the first one that comes to Knoxville. Now, I'll explain to them when they see it. The camera part she's holding up there is just the camera. On her back is a 35-pound tape recorder.
Oh my Lord.
So things have come a long ways.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Hey, from a set, you can do it with a cell phone now like they could back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they do. I saw a lady from Channel 8 out of the place that I was just before Christmas, and she was doing a story.
Yeah.
And she had a cell phone on a tripod.
Yep. That's crazy.
Yeah. But then let's see. This is something we talked. Dave played for Bonnie and Buster for a long time. I don't know. But anyway, at that time, this is the second generation of video recorders. The first generation was as big as all of that.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it was twice that big. But we would record Bonnie and Buster on those big tape reels.
Oh yeah.
2-inch tape.
Oh yeah.
And
What year did color come out?
What?
Color TV.
Oh God.
60s something.
Well, no, we got it. We'd already moved. We moved in 61, and we had already moved. I'm going to say 62 or 3, but 62 maybe. We got our first color. But that was actually just film. It wasn't live studio. It come a little later.
Yeah.
But there's just, I don't know.
David, you ended up with those big 2-inch reels from Bonnie Lou and Buster, those recordings, didn't you?
Yeah, I got
they're
all
up at
them.
the museum.
Yeah, I got all of it. The state paid thousands of dollars to have them things restored.
Have them baked and restored.
Museum.
Yeah.
I can't remember what year this was.
He was our camera. What was you? You was the director. What was you on Bonnie and Buster shows?
The what?
On Bonnie and Buster shows. What did you do? You was the director or
No, I was the video operator, tape editor.
Video.
But
okay.
anyway, after these big 2-inch tape reels,
Yeah.
they put that same 2-inch tape. You'll see some little boxes here,
Yeah.
and they put them in those little boxes, and that machine would automatically load. And you hit one button, and if you had 4 tapes to play, it'd play 4. If you had 2, it'd play 2. And you pre-programmed it, and that was the first sort of automation, so to speak.
Way back in the day when I was in college, back in '83, I worked at WKPT Radio, and they had the same thing. They had the big, just audio though. That's the only difference. They had the big reels, and they would run, and
Now
they had other ones.
Quarter-inch tape.
Yeah, it probably was quarter-inch.
Mm-hmm.
They had those, and then it would kick off the next one, and it'd kick off the next one. And after about 8, you'd have to go back and reload. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, when I first started, we were still getting stuff in. Now, this was before before audio tape.
Mm-hmm.
They had what they called electrical transcriptions.
Oh, wow.
They were big old discs like this. And they had sent a company that had, let's say you had 25 radio commercials. They would send you one. It'd be like cut songs on a record.
But it was commercials.
And they'd send her, and you'd queue up a commercial on a record and play it.
And that was before the reel-to-reel stuff?
Tape, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So there still was a little of that when I got into
No,
TV.
with Bonnie and Buster show, them things was this big
Oh, yeah.
in a metal box.
Yeah.
And see, they had 28 states of television. Porter had 28. So you had 3 things that come on.
Mm-hmm.
Wilbur Brothers, Porter Wagner, and Jim Walter Home.
Yeah.
And Jim Walter, they all had about the same, about over half of the United States.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's the 3
Southeast
biggest.
for sure.
Yeah. It was the 3 biggest country music shows.
Yeah.
It was on there. At least, and I don't know if that
Well,
was.
see, they done theirs in Nashville, but what they would do, they would take this reel of tape, and they played it at the station they recorded on.
Yeah.
Put it in the mail, shipped it to next town. They'd play it. put it in mail, ship it next town.
Yeah, and so
They called it bicycling.
Bicycling.
You bicycle it down to the next station.
yeah, went down from state to state, and I remember Bonnie Lou would come in and say, "Boy, I sent them another one." She had 2 or 3 spires. If one.
Yeah, well, they can be damaged pretty easy.
She said I had to send one to Indiana. I said I saw it Saturday. Said they mail got it in water or something. Said it was terrible.
That happened quite often.
Yeah.
They were sealed real good, but sometimes the seal got broken, and then they'd get water in them.
Wow.
And she said, "Did you see the show Saturday?" I said, "I didn't get to see it." Oh, it was wobbly and everything else. I sent another to Indiana, and she had extra, so they sent that back like we can redo it.
Yeah.
Y'all taped over top of them, didn't you? Did y'all tape them?
As long as the tape was good, yeah.
Yeah.
They would recycle the tape.
There's one
Of course,
coming in,
that
one going
tape,
out.
that tape for that day and age was expensive. I mean, I at one time or another, I could tell you how much a half-hour reel that cost, but I can't remember now. But it was expensive, so we would recycle,
Sure.
Just they'd send when we got to the last station, they'd send them back.
Did Bonnie Lou and Buster buy the time from the stations and then send it, or did the stations? How did that work back then?
Well, yeah, they did and said Jim Walter Holmes, of course, bought it.
Yes.
But they had paid for the studio time.
Yeah.
Separate from when it run. Then they paid for the commercial time. Say you know how y'all do. You got so many commercials in a half hour.
Yeah.
Well, they would pay for the commercial time and furnish the show, so to speak.
And talk about Jim Walter Mobile Home or Jim Walter Homes. Yeah.
Oh, I got to tell this story. Again, I'm talking too much, but I just think of so many things.
We like to do it.
Bonnie and Buster come in every 2 weeks and do 2 shows. They'd do one for this week, one for next week, and then start sending them out. And we would do this commercial, and Bonnie Lou would be reading it, and end of her commercial, she would say, okay. That meant we put our local tag on it saying Jim Walter Homes Clinton Highway.
Sure.
Of course, in Memphis, okay, so-and-so in Memphis, And so that's okay was our cue. So one time she was reading a commercial and we were recording, and we left 20 seconds on the end of that for them to
tag
put up, they could put their location. And so she says, okay. Well, then we had 20 seconds there while we waited to start the show back again. And we didn't stop. We went through 30 minutes. So she looked around. She couldn't bust her. Well, anyway, he comes sidling up there from back there behind her somewhere. And just as the director was counting 5, 4, 3, she reached over and grabbed him and goes, and she pulled him over into the picture. But you didn't see this. We could see it through the window. You couldn't see this.
Camera wasn't on.
But when they come out, he was going. She just yanked him right in there, and they went on just like
nothing happened.
Just like nothing. But there's just so much funny. So much weird.
And he had them real pretty pictures back there at barn and
all them
things up. And I remember he'd come through there. I just come through from the barn.
Yeah. Sure. I'll tell you what's funny too. They had a fake tree, and Bob Dooley, I stand by. He was just an absolute card. I mean, he was funny. So at that time, this was way back. He was a camera person instead of moving up to director and stuff. And they had to set up the set. And it had a little water trough and a pump, and I don't remember what all. But anyway, they had a little tree or a stump of a tree or something.
Mm-hmm.
And one day it was missing. And the director was sitting there and he says, we was in the middle of the show before he noticed, and he says, where'd that tree go? The tree's in there. And old Dooley says, I phased it out. he just did something else he didn't want to carry, He said, I phased it out. But it's just live TV. Well, even tape TV, as long as they didn't stop and edit. And Bonnie Buster didn't. They done a half-hour TV show live.
Yeah. See, the last 2 years of Captain Walker Show, I was on it to ended the last 9 years. But the last 2 years, maybe a year or 2 years, they was going to film it. We're going on Monday and Wednesday, and film we'd do 2 in one day and 3 one day, and we'd film it. Well, Mr. Walker didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
He didn't know if it was Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm ahead of myself. I thought yesterday was Wednesday. Well, it would have been.
Yeah.
That's when he threw them boys off TV that time.
Oh, they have little brothers. Their hair was too long, and he fired them. They wouldn't get a haircut. The Everly brothers. Now think about it. That's his next big bunch to Dolly Parton.
Sure.
You know. Tell him about y'all going up to Kentucky somewhere.
Yeah, I told him about that.
Red and Fred.
Yeah.
Oh,
The dogs, I told him.
Yeah, that's a funny story.
Or they.
Luke and me and David and Jerry Moore and Fred Smith were going somewhere to play. We all met down at the store.
Mm-hmm.
And we all got there, and Fred wasn't there yet. And, you know, he had a bass sitting here and guitars hanging on the wall. So everybody just picked up something. We started playing, just killing time. Well, anyway, who was it? Luke had said it, or
Luke, yeah.
I think Luke said it. But you could see Fred's head. They had some, add stuff in the window or something. But you see his head,
top of his head,
coming by there. Luke says, "Here comes Fred." Everybody act like you don't see him. So he come in the store and walked in. We sat there, and I was playing bass, and Fred goes to swing. I go, guess what? And a little bit later, Fred would go, and we'd all just, we went on, but, and then I don't know how long it took, but finally we all just exploded laughing. And he'd picked up on it, and he'd stand there and he'd look real sad, you know, like, you know. But it's just so much fun over the years.
He turned over to Faye, you know, and said, "I don't believe they know who I am." That's when we all started doing that. They said, everybody busted out laughing.
Yeah, that's right.
He thought because he went to night, well, he was dressed up in a suit and tie, you know, he come in looking good. Because he was fixing to do a show for Hammers, and we had Mr. Abson make a tag, you know, like to and from Christmas. It was a Christmas party. And he made a tag. Hit tied around his neck with this, and see, Mr. Hammer. Don said, one of them parties he had said, Mr. Hammer said, I said, "Who would you like to see?" And he said, "I'd like to see Red and Fred." So he called me. He said, "Get them together." I called Nashville and I got Fred, and I said, "We're going to give him to Mr. Walker, Mr. Then Hammer as a present, you know, a gift for Christmas gift." He had that big old tag.
Yeah.
He put his garb on. He come out and he said, "How you do?" Said, "Santa Claus sent me." He said, "I'm going for Mr. Hammer sitting back there." And he started, it was funny. Does it seem that, when Faye said that, he said, "I don't believe they know who I am, do they, Faye?" We all liked it.
Yeah.
He was a case, wasn't he?
We were traveling somewhere coming back from Virginia. We'd been up there recording it with the Brewster, Bud Brewster and Willie, and Monticello. Now, I don't know, there's a recording studio there. And they got hooked up with a place called Janet Records, and they put out 2 or 3 songs that we recorded. Maybe 2 45s would be 4 songs, I guess. But we were coming back, and Stone Socker was driving, and I was somewhere in the car. Fred, boy, just as soon as the car started rolling, Fred was, he dropped like that. Well, we come to a road, and Stoney slowed down and he says, "Is this where we turn?" And he didn't say it loud enough to interrupt anything. Fred goes, right in the middle of sleep, he still knew where he was going. Yeah, he says, like that, and went right back off to sleep. But
good.
Him and Red were.
We saw some good And when they, I remember one night we was playing at Renfro Valley, and we was leaving Renfro Valley, and Red and Fred was in a big old Imperial.
Yeah.
And of course, Barney and Buster had the big limo.
Oh, the long
and the car blowed up somewhere down there, quit.
Yeah.
And I stood on the side road, and they both was out there trying to flag us. And Buster said, Lord, that's Red and Fred. And of course, the time he got stopped, he was down the road.
Yeah.
He come and said, what you want to do? Fred said, Red, you get in there with them and go down there to a service station. I'm going to stay here at the car, said that, and get a tow truck. Said, I was at a tow station there somewhere. This old boy had a shoe at the back of like that, and an old Ford truck with a big old wooden bumper on it. And he was looking at us. He thought he knew who it was, and opened TV and all. And we got in there. He said, well, where's your dad? He said, it's up the road there about 3 or 4 miles. He took out spinning that thing, and he got up there, and he said, that's it right over yonder. He didn't go to one of them cross things. Yeah. He said, run! He went up one hill, down the other, and it was so hard that the door sprung open.
Oh, my
open
God.
On the truck.
Twisted it.
I caught the ceiling, I throwed me out. I saw the door. That door went open. No guy didn't say a word. He threw it back up in the highway, and I slammed the door. Red said, he'd kill us, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
It's about time to sum up.
Well, you sum up then. Use whatever you want to do.
Let's just sum up. What do you say?
Okay, that works.
We better tell them about some shows. See, not tomorrow, but the next Friday we're playing in Rick Campbell, the whole Ciderville gang at a hardware store in Sneed. It won't be too hard to find. I guess there's just one big enough. But it's and I don't know what time it is, but it's Friday.
Okay.
I do know what day it is.
No, I think Rick's a mayor up there.
It's going to be Friday. We got a big show up there. It's a big 50th anniversary, I believe, for Rick booked it, and I forgot to get all the details on it. But anyhow, next Friday.
Got it.
And then next a week from Monday, won't it?
Yeah, a week from
Monday,
the 12th.
We'll be back at Wild Wings.
Okay.
And then a week from that, we're going to be at Powell, I believe, the 17th, anyhow. Whatever that is.
That's Saturday the 17th.
Okay. We've got a big, it's 4 to 7 at Powell. It's a antique show and an antique car show.
Okay.
They got to move around them little shopping centers. It's right next to the railroad track.
Got it.
If you're going down through there, don't cross the railroad track, because it's this side there, and you'll see us if you're leaving Clinton Highway. That's just 3 we're going to tell you about right there, and I hope you come out. But if everything goes well next week, we're going to have the lady that put this on over with us to tell about it.
Okay.
They're going to give away prizes, and they got food and antique cars, and there's a whole slew of stuff. But anyhow, maybe Ron can sell some spots on that, too.
Maybe. We'll try.
Merle, tell her she needs some, so.
It's good having you in here today, Ray.
I guess.
Hey, I'll tell you, I can't tell you how much I've
get over and
enjoyed
say
it.
bye.
Being with Dave here, we always think about old stuff, because that's about all we got. There he is.
Say hello to everybody. You've been back there. After Barney left, I didn't get you up yet.
Yeah.
You're supposed to just file in on this.
Okay.
He's been back here listening with me.
Yeah, I just been listening today.
Yeah.
What have you done this week exciting?
Well, this week, nothing too exciting, really. Just a lot of work, really. That's about it. Yeah. Nothing too exciting. Yeah. This is my most exciting part of the week right here.
I'll tell you one thing you've been doing. We've got these big cows and horses and all that.
Yeah.
Great big and lifestyles, and they left a note in them when I bought them that said, if you're going to leave them outside, put a clear coat on them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been clear coating animals.
Clear coating you.
Well, you been
Clear coating critters.
Hey, he's an artist.
That's right.
Oh, I wish you'd see that man that is feeding the cow. It was just plumb, you couldn't tell what it was wearing.
Mm-hmm.
It was dingy. Been out there for a year, and I said, look here, that's yours. You just go and decorate him up. Boy, I mean, he done a job on him. He's really pretty. I may enter him in a fire this year. He's really good. And we had, he's been doing picnic tables, and if it clears up, if it don't clear up, we can do the ones on the shed.
That's it.
He's got a bunch of them today to do. We just got a lot of things happening. And he can do a little bit about anything.
There you go.
As Luke said, I think it's top shelf. So.
You run around with Uncle David, you'll learn to do anything.
You'll learn to do it.
If you don't know how, you're going to learn it.
It's a exciting life, man.
That's it.
Since I've known Dave, he's dabbled in most anything that make money.
Yeah.
I have done a lot of different things.
One of the things that tickled me, he used to sell gravestones.
Back when I said dead or alive, we need your business.
Yeah.
That's one of our slogans. And then we got one here last year, 2 or 3 years ago. We believe in the new Green Deal, the Green New Deal.
Yeah.
You bring in the green and we'll deal.
That's it.
I had to do it where people started laughing about it.
That's
So.
good. Yeah.
But we'd like to tell you a little bit about Ciderville now. We got Anthony Layover is running Ciderville, and they just went to an auction and bought a load of Les Pauls and
I went,
some nice stuff. So they sold a bunch of it. They still got a bunch left.
Yeah.
But they bought a trailer load of it, I think.
I was over a couple of weeks ago, and if you've not been in there lately, you need to go.
You need to go see it, don't you?
Need to go see it.
It's the biggest drum store in Tennessee, they say. He's got.
Yeah.
He just got half of them out.
Oh, really?
Half of them out. He said other half's in his warehouse at home.
Yeah.
You talk.
Well,
You ain't got to see him even on.
Anybody?
Yeah, I've seen him. I was over there.
And
Yeah, anybody that's not been to Ciderville in a while needs to go.
Yeah. Oh, he's putting them in there by.
I'm afraid to go. I'm afraid we're leaving.
Afraid you'll spend some money.
Exactly.
It makes you want to.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I go over and see them and all the guitars and stuff they got on sale, amps, and they've got a real repairman over there now. If you need your guitar or whatever repaired, well, this guy, he worked about all the music stores around here, somewhere down the line, and he said this was home right here. He found this.
I'm gonna take that Les Paul I've got down there, and I'm gonna have him just go over it from top to bottom. I need a few little things here and there, but I want, when it's done, I want it back new. Not like new. I was gonna have a boy up in Kentucky redo it, repaint it, refinish it, and he said, "Why would you do that?" He said, "People are paying for us to make them look old."
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But I do want to have. I do need to have the pickups going through, and you know what I mean. Have it reset. Yeah, the pots are bad.
They'll get dirty.
The jack, I broke the little holder to the jack going up in there, a little plastic holder. I broke that. So just a few little things. I need to take it over there and have him fix it, and then put it up.
I had run into him before, and
his name's Steven, isn't it?
Scott. I didn't know that he was at Ciderville until I walked in. I said, "Boy, they'll just let you in anywhere." And he got to laughing, you know.
Well, he came from another store, didn't he? He was doing it for somebody else.
Guitar Center.
Yep, I believe so.
That's Guitar Center. Both of them did that. Anthony did, and he did too.
Okay.
Who did?
Anthony, the guy running the store, he used to work for Guitar
Really,
Center.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, Anthony is he'd been in every kind of law enforcement, I guess you did. He started out as a police. He got sheriff when he was 26, I believe he said. 26. He's in his 20s when he got sheriff of Scott County as a deputy for a while.
Okay.
And then he went to Highway Patrol before he did sheriff. Then he went to U.S. Marshal. And his daddy got real sick, and he didn't want to be away from home for so much. And he went back to Highway Patrol, and now he's in the music business.
Yeah.
You're gonna say if you're gonna be in the music business, it might be good to have a law background. All the trouble you can get in.
Considering who you have to deal with.
He got
Exactly.
a lot of law background. He said the other day, something I was asking him about, and he said, "Now you need any advice on this, just ask me." He said, "That's one thing I've been into a lot all my life."
I played a show in Madisonville here a month or so ago, and this lady come up and paid us before we ever started. I said, "You've not been doing the music business long, have you?" And she said, "Well, why?" I said, "You don't pay a bass player before he plays. You'll never see him again."
Don't pay any of that bad infiltration
no.
you get through.
Yeah, I said, "You don't pay a bass player before he plays. You'll never see him again."
If they give me the check or money, if I just say, okay.
Yeah.
And then, see, I like it better if they'll pay you at the end, because a lot of times they give you tips.
Yeah.
I done a big wedding, and guy walks up, and it was $50 bill. He had $50 bill, and everybody got a $50 bill.
Hmm.
And then I used to play over at a place at there, I guess it's over on Merchants Road. This Gulliver's, I believe it was.
Gulliver's.
Oh, they call it Lodge, and they was Gulliver's Lodge.
They had a big show in there, and this guy come there. Of course, it's Butchers and Zane Daniels and all of them in there and back in. And this guy said, "I want Rocky Top." There's 5 of us. He'd take his money out and hit 20, 20, 20, 20, 20.
Yeah.
And he'd get over and get talking. He said, "Did you do Rocky Top?" I said, "Yeah, you was over talking to that girl, you know."
We'll play it.
He said, "Well, do it again." I think about 5 times. He was a question, I don't know. Hey, one time we was playing at Indian Cave. You never Indian Cave.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And
played up there with L.E. White first time.
L.E. White, yeah, they used, and Lois Johnson, all them played there.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, did.
And this old guy, he wanted to hear something. Well, our guitar player laid out, and we had to put Garfield on electric guitar. He could play it, just enough to get you by. You know?
Yeah.
He wasn't nothing to write home tell Mama about it. And he's a fiddle player and a banjo picker, and he mastered them all. He didn't master anything, but he played a little. He gets you by on anything.
Yeah.
And but boy, he could sell that music. Boy, he'd be on that fiddle. And Jerry said, "Look at him," and said, "He can outsell me on fiddle." He had that personality, you know.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it was one of them real hard songs to do. Rolling Up the River, I believe it was. Something they said to do it. He said, "Yeah, yes, ma'am." They laid their money down. They got there and got dancing. It's all feeling pretty good. And they come up and said, "You gonna do my song?" He said, "Well, we just done it a while ago." We hadn't even done it, we didn't even know it. Oh, okay, I guess I just missed it then.
One more quickly, Brandon story. This made me think of it. We were playing somewhere, and it was just me and him and a drum machine. he got that thing somewhere, and he had learned. He put every kind of time in the world on that thing for night was up. But this particular thing, it was when you picked to find time to leave me, Lucille.
Yeah.
Come out, and some lady come up and said, "Can you pick to find time to leave me, Lucille?" "Oh, yeah, we'll get that." And he got up there and he hit a thing. He's hunting a key to sing it in. He says, he started off playing, and he says, "You picked time to leave me, Lucille." And he started playing, never sung another word. That's all he knew about. He didn't know the song, but he said, "You picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille," and never played the rest of it.
Never fun to get picked.
Yeah. Remember we was playing for Jim Clayton, me and you and Luke.
Oh my gosh!
And you was hooking up, and
that's funny.
What was that name of that song that guy walked up?
It was a symphony. It was something in A major or you know, some you know how they say those things.
Yeah.
A guy says, "Can you do so and so's concerto in A major or whatever the boy said?" What he's doing with he's trying to make us old country boys look.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
trying to show you up a little bit.
Luke played it for him.
Good. I mean,
yeah, he played it. He just sat down there and played it. Well, the old boy turned around and looked at the boys with him, and he says, "I'll be."
Hey, then Ray was looking at the bass up, and I was looking at the banjo.
Mm-hmm.
Ray said, "I'm glad it didn't wait till we go." Hey, you remember that? You looked over me and said, "I don't even know how to pronounce it."
Well, that's the reason I sort of mumbled what I did about the title.
I got to tell Ray this, and Ray heard this a lot. I may have not. I've told it on the radio, but
yeah,
we're playing in big nightclubs and nice places, you know.
Yeah.
And we started doing birthdays.
Yeah.
And when we did, we charged them $500 to do a birthday.
Oh, good.
One hour. I mean, Luke started knocking me on a little bucks. Then we played a big old thing or two for some rich people, you know.
Yeah.
And they had dancing, and some of them more dancing than me and Luke. Well, neither one of us know how to dance, you know. Yeah. And he said, "David, I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to go down to Arthur Murray and learn how to dance a little bit." He said, let's go down there to Arthur Murray. And said, well, we walked in Arthur Murray, and he said, "We need to take some dance lessons." I said, "What kind of dance do you want to do?" And he said, "Well, just regular old two-step, I guess, and maybe just a little bit of clogging." Well, we got on two-step. That girl said, "If you don't mind, you ain't supposed to mash your arm. I'm not going to carry you around here." She told me, she said, "I'm not supposed to carry you around. You're supposed to." She was trying to show me. I didn't even know the holds.
Yeah.
Well, we got through that and then went to clogging.
Yeah.
And see, we just did a CD for moonshine cloggers at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
And we was trying to do some clogging, and Luke said, David, who's that picking? And I said, I don't know. He said, sound like me and you. He told that girl we got through, said, who's picking that? She said, David and Luke, do you know him? He said, yeah, we know him. We named our own music.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a funny guy, wasn't he?
Oh, I really thought the world of him.
Tell you one more here. We got Doug over there is doing sound system just about every day. So if you need a good sound system, not too big, not too little, he does them all. I mean, he's got a load. If you want a whole big one, if you want just something small, he does all for us. He'll be working with us, good Lord will, on all these shows next few days. And
sure.
Don't come out here. He's a really good sound man. And also we got Three Dog Nights. Danny Hutchins is overseas right now.
Yeah.
And they're
And
filling
we got
in.
another Danny Hutchins, which was with Three Dog Nights.
Yeah.
He's playing the keyboard. Boy, he's a good harmonica player too. He.
Mm.
If you're
I didn't hear him play on harmonica.
Oh man, he can tear it
But
up.
he's a good musician, so
He's
if
a
he
good
plays
musician,
one, it's
sings.
good.
He's a good old boy.
Yeah.
But he's working with us probably next 2 or 3 shows till Danny can get back. But if you want to hear it, Joy to the World, Sure Am I Was a Bullfrog. That's one of their big hits.
Oh, yeah, big.
Three Dog Nights. There are 2 of them left, I think. One of them, we did hit him on the snare drum and then this year, but anyhow, they people liked him. They remember him.
Well, yeah.
Three Dog Nights, because they were on
big.
that thing that they done in Nashville, imitating people,
Mm.
and they did Jeremiah, was it? They do that song on that record with them.
Yeah.
But it was good. But anyhow, come over and see us at Ciderville and just come in and say hello. Them boys is good. Just call Doug if you need. Call Ciderville and he'll give you the number for Doug.
Oh, and you never know who you might run into.
Never know.
Oh, I know it. They've been a lot of stars, ain't they?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that winds us up. Do what Mr. Walker said. You be good to the Lord, and he'll be good to you, and good night the next day till next week, I guess.
All right,
Ron,
folks.
thanks for having me.
All right, anytime. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for listening. 80 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Make sure you tune in at 10 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, right here on AM 1380 WYSH and BBB TV 12. Or listen live online at WYSHradio.com. And remember, if you have a question, comment, or problem, call in tomorrow and ask